Remember kids, no talking in line, single file please. Come on, we don't want to be late. Don't let go of the rope. All right, come on, here we go. Welcome to Travels with Charlie, Vermont Politics in Real Life. Today's guests, we have Dan French, Secretary of Education from Vermont. Jay Eshelman is a parent, former member of the school board. And today we're going to be discussing the future of education in Vermont. Thanks for joining us on Travels with Charlie, Vermont Politics in Real Life. We're filming today at Elmore School. It's the last one-room school in Vermont, and we're talking about the future of education. Dan, where do you see the future of education in Vermont? Are we going to go back to our roots in one room and one teacher could be teaching to multiple students via the internet, I suppose?
Yeah, I suspect that this type of school will be in our future in many places in Vermont. In particular, when it comes to early literacy, there's probably going to be schools like this or a learning center like this in each community to ensure that students get off to the right start. In the rural parts of our state, we have pretty traditional K-8 schools, and those were built at a time. We did a lot of regionalization of high schools in Vermont in the 60s and 70s, but in many rural locations, it's not uncommon to see K through 8 schools. As our numbers have dropped, a lot of those schools have very, very small middle school programs, like 12 students.
Yeah.
And I really am starting to wonder, more concerned, honestly, about the quality of education at the middle level in Vermont if we have 12 students in a middle level program. Yeah. Because we can't begin to offer what those students need for the 21st century learning in such a small environment. So I think one of the big challenges in front of us as a state is to start thinking a little more seriously about regionalization of middle level programs so we can offer those students a higher quality education.
Jay, how many years has it been since your kids have been in school and graduated and moved on here in Vermont?
15 years, approximately.
Yeah. And what sort of changes have you seen in that 15 years since they were in school and where we are today? And it's declining population of students. There were more kids in school back when your kids were there.
Well, that's really the only change I've seen is the declining enrollment. Otherwise, the methodology has pretty much stayed the same. Basically, what we're doing is teaching kids the basics to read, write, do basic arithmetic, and understand some science. And what we should do then is let them determine where they want to go with those basic skills.
Do we focus enough on the kids in school? So often, when you're listening to the news and you hear about things that are going on in the schools, it's about, Jay shaking his head right now, it's about teachers' contracts, it's about superintendents. We have too many superintendents, and you don't hear a lot about the kids, the teaching that's being done to them. We don't focus enough on the kids, do we, Dan?
I don't, certainly we, the political folks in the media don't, I was fortunate, sort of have a front row seat in the Act 46 debate as I sit on the state board as a non-voting member. But one of the observations was pretty clear to me. Anytime we had a student panel come in and talk about their experience with Act 46, that there was a disconnect between what the adults were perceiving as the process and what the kids, the effects of it. And really the difference for me broke down around the definition of community. So the adults still very much fixated on the community being their town boundary, where our students today have much more elaborate communities, that transcend town boundaries. They have communities online. Their communities are much more diverse and dynamic. Right. Our students have a fundamentally different definition of community than what our adults do, who are still clinging to the old system.
All right, so we're going to be doing something called the Marshmallow Challenge. And neither of you, and don't get started now, Jay, okay?
Gotta follow the rules. You're in school now, right? So,
you can tell he wasn't a good student. I can tell right now,
yeah.
There's 20 pieces of spaghetti here. The object is to make a tower using the materials that we have here. There's a measured amount of tape, there's a measured amount of string, and there is one marshmallow. Also, I want to point out that we have a group of high school students over here that are going to be competing with all three of us, actually. I'm going to get involved in it as well. The object is to get this marshmallow up as high off the table as possible, just using the materials that are here. So on your mark, get set, and you can talk out loud and collaborate. Let's go. Jay, what do you want to do?
What's the string for?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I
You're
get an
asking
idea.
me,
on
what do
that.
I know?
Well, I was just thinking that if we had 4 pillars of 5, and then use the string to create the boundary to prevent these guys from sliding out this way.
We tape the spaghetti together
like
and-
tape it
Well,
together.
I would overlap them.
You think, yeah, a little more structurally
strong.
secure?
Definitely
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
overlap them. I would say about 4 inches.
And tape it
Do we have a
together.
scissors or anything?
Do we have a scissors? Ah, look at that. Jay brought his knife because he wanted to carve his name into the desk before he left today.
Which way?
Lay it right.
Yep,
Just lay it
gotcha.
down on there.
Yep.
Oh, broke it. Broke.
We didn't talk at all about school choice today, Dan. That's another issue that comes up. Do you think school choice would build stronger schools?
You know, what I would start is firstly describing, you know, what we have in Vermont for school choice, you
Yeah.
know, because it's a unique history, and it's one that's worked well for us based on our rural nature of our state. You know, we basically, when we say school choice, we
I'll
really,
help Jay lift those up
Yep,
on that
yep,
tape
I got
there.
it.
Yeah.
we have,
Lay them
you know, the choice really begins with the school district. So school boards, like Jay were on, have a choice basically to either operate a school or not, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if they choose not to operate a school, they have to pay tuition for students to be educated someplace.
Sure.
And that's where choice begins. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Well-
really the local voters deciding to operate a school or not.
There's a very interesting permutation to that. It's Title 16, paragraph 822C. From 7th grade to 12th grade, the school district can both operate a high school and tuition its children.
I don't think you're right on that.
I know the statute by heart. And the decision.
Don't argue with Dan.
I mean, this is a fun conversation, but I think you're wrong.
Write this down. Okay. Title 16, paragraph 822C.
Let's pause here for a little refresher on paragraph 822C of the Title 16 Education Law. It states that a school board may both run a traditional brick and mortar schoolhouse and provide tuition for students to attend a different public or private school. Ultimately, though, the school board has discretion over which students can be tuitioned at a different school, and for what reasons. Okay, back to the show.
The language in that statute, if applied to 821 for elementary schools and for public school choice, which are 2 entirely different situations, that's all you have to do to fix everything.
All right, we're getting close to. I see our high school students are pretty close to finishing up
Okay,
over there.
I just
And
need-
I think we're going to beat them. We might have to reinforce this
Yes, you do.
with another.
You don't have a big enough
Right.
cantilever, right?
Yeah.
But how high do we have to go?
Oh.
We can beat them.
Oh, I know we're going to beat them.
That's going to put a lot of stress on the legs.
You sure you don't have a background in engineering?
I do.
I think you. Oh, you do.
Yes, of course I do.
Oh, wow. Hear that, guys? We got a ringer.
Now, if we can just stand it up.
This one's
gotta
this
go to
way.
your
Gonna lift
side.
it up a little bit.
Got it.
Oh, too far.
Huh?
Too far?
Push
Yeah,
them
yeah.
closer together.
Yeah. We ready?
We're done.
We're done. Let's get the ruler.
Centimeters.
Are we go? Is it meters?
55 and a half.
Do we have a real yardstick? I mean, what the heck
Well,
is
that's
this?
real enough.
Huh? Real enough. Okay. 47. Okay. We've got 55, 47. And let's go over here with.
Don't bump the
I
table.
gotta go very, very slowly.
I'll hold it and you read
Oh, okay. You hold it.
it.
We've
61.
got what?
61 even.
61. Wow.
Oh, it's a
We
golf
did it.
thing.
We've got this much tape left we didn't use, and we still.
We get another
We
marshmallow.
get an extra
2.
marshmallow. We get extra points. I think if anything we found out here today, he was probably a problem student.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm
You
based
can
on my
see that.
experience, it's
Yeah.
very clear.
Yeah, you can-
But we can work together.
yeah.
So if you had a magic wand, if you could just wave the magic wand, how would you change education in Vermont? What is it that you would like to see? If you could just wave that wand, Jay, what would it be?
paragraph 822C.
You won't give up?
I'm serious, and I think you should read it. I don't think you need to change anything except to give parents the option to choose whatever alternative they feel best meets the needs of their children. And if there's anything I can do, it's to say, go ahead and consolidate, do whatever you want, but allow that one caveat. And I again suggest 822C. I hope you read it. I'm serious.
You're giving him homework. Let's give Dan the wand. You can wave it. What would you like to say?
Yeah, and the theme of sort of building off what we already have in place, I would suggest that we focus in on our personal learning plan initiative, which is something we've done really just only in grades 7 through 12, which I think is something we should expand down to the earliest grades. And I think about that because it's parallel to what Jay's suggesting, I think, is really figuring out a way to build student aspirations into the design of the system. But I would argue that doesn't happen, and it's not sufficient just to unleash that as the cornerstone. It has to be framed in a way, and that's where the personal learning plan becomes really an essential way to do that. What drives us, I think, here in Vermont, particularly in New England, where we have this sort of colonial foundation on democracy, that public good, so the reason we have schools, it's not just about providing access to knowledge, but it's teaching students how to do democracy. So in order for our democracy to continue to be successful, we have to practice those things and really ensure students know the civics and how to engage. Look at these students here. Look how well they work together, right?
Yeah.
So that's a public interest. We need to ensure not only students can realize their aspirations, that the most efficient way to do that is they have access to the knowledge that has come before them, but thirdly, they need to practice that in a way that's good for the common good.
We should do a close-up of Jay here because
Well,
I keep getting this look, and he's like,
he bumped the table.
I want to thank both of you for joining me today, and also to our students over here. Great job to Dan French, Secretary of Education here in the state of Vermont. Thanks to Dan, and to Jay Eshelman, who is my ringer today. Thanks again for being my guest today on Travels with Charlie, and we'll see you in my travels.
Covering lots of ground. If you be so kind to share what's on your mind, it's time well spent talking president. Though we may not agree, let your thoughts run.